Welcome back, everyone. Today we're tackling Blackrock Mountain with General Drak. I would recommend using this trait if you have it available, and we'll discuss that during the video. Let's go. Now, you don't need to be a spender in order to play this deck, but you do need some realistic expectations. If you don't have upgraded minis or even higher level troops, you likely won't push into the orange difficulty levels. Regardless, you can still learn some things of value from the video. Namely, these upgraded minis may help you decide which ones you want to strive for as you continue to play. You just saw a brief clip of the enemy spawning on the left lane, and this time they're spawning on the right. And we'll go through this entire match so you can see the deck played out. Like I said, this is the most difficult of the 3 levels that you'll face. Let the enemies come to you regardless of which lane they come. Reason for this is we want to control the middle where those 2 gold veins are. There is a 3rd gold vein in the top left, to the left of that meeting stone as well, but it's very difficult to get. In fact, the enemy pretty much gets that every time. I've had virtually no success with the left lane in general, so I would recommend sticking to the middle or even the right lane for that meeting stone as well. Now, you can defend on the left, toggle the arrow to go over the bridge, and that will work. Look at the whelp eggs that I've placed on the pipe. They're going to completely devastate that Stonehoof Torn. There's also a Prowler that can occasionally come down a lane solo, so the whelp eggs will be great against that as well, and if you get both of them at once, you get a ton of value there. So we've got the right meeting stone. I want to continue to keep pressure. I'm certainly not going to be able to kill the boss at this point, but I can still continue to control that middle lane, taking a look around as well. And at this point, I'm going to be difficult to kind of save everything. You can see that Drak's going to go down. The Tie Hunters are going to push. The enemy's going to get another wave out. I will try to put a Prowler out, and this is going to go down pretty quickly. Probably should have just saved that gold, let them come closer to me. Even too late to put a Blizzard. This point, just throwing some whelp eggs down, and it looks like I'll catch that Prowler. I do. So here's a great example. I'm going to get that Prowler, then they're going to go after that Tauren. Just huge value there. I've also got a ton of whelp eggs at my base. This is going to be incredibly strong for defending. That Stonehoof Tauren gets missed by the whelps just because of the positioning of the bridge, and now he's going to charge the eggs. That's going to basically bring him to his death. He's going to hit egg after egg and just go down. The Darkspear Troll isn't hitting my base until now. It's actually just throwing spears at the eggs. So I'm really adding some survivability to my base with these eggs. Whether it be melee or range, you can delay the range from getting to you, and you can just take the melee out. I've got the middle back. I can use my safe pilot here to kind of destroy what's coming. Not going to get 100% of them, but it's going to severely delay them and damage them as well. Another Darkspear Troll coming. Not super concerned. I'm more concerned about the Tauren at this point. And that's just because my base will actually take that troll out eventually. But now we're getting some damage onto Mr. Smite himself. And we've just won control of this middle for the majority of the match, right? At virtually no time other than the first few seconds did we not really control that lane. And that's absolutely the most important. At this point in the match, I can just use my safe pilot and Blizzard to continue to whittle down Mr. Smite. And we'll get a win that way. In fact, I don't even need the gold nodes at this point. Fast forwarding 30 seconds, I've basically just been hunkered down, and at this point I'm dropping my spells with the Blizzard and the Unbound unit with the safe pilot just onto the boss repeatedly as they come up, defending the base otherwise, and not even trying to push a lane. In fact, I've given up the gold veins and just using the gold that I have passively coming in, and that's going to be enough to take out the boss. For Cookie, I like to go with the Coated Spearhead option, and I just find this really valuable on the final level against Sneed. We'll of course get some value against Cookie as well with it. As for Cookie himself, there's 3 lanes in this map. We've got 2 treasure chests right as we start. You want to pick up both of these, send a unit out, make sure you toggle the arrow, and pick up the other one. A unit that can actually do some damage to the tower is even better. I didn't have really any good option there. The Darkspear Troll is the best thing I had in this situation. Now, we're going to be dealing with massive clumps of enemies, and I've tried Living Bomb here, and it was not as successful as Blizzard. That would definitely be the recommendation. You may be able to use something else if you don't happen to have Blizzard. You don't need Blizzard upgraded at all to deal with those units. In fact, the upgrade I have on it actually casts around my base, which is basically going to get no value. So I'm still dealing with these units here, and ideally we want to get all 3 towers. That's because there's always going to be units coming down either the top left or to the right of Cookie towards kind of the center of the map, or just slightly offset to the right side. The whelp eggs are going to protect anything that comes down on its own, but we need to deal with that massive clump of units every time it spawns. So keep an eye out for that, make sure that you're ready to deal with that, and also conserve some gold. Make sure that you have Blizzard on your hand if that's the spell you're using, or whatever option you're going with, and have the gold to cast it. And make sure that you can kind of position it and time it where you're going to get a large amount of those enemies and do some good damage. You don't need to completely take them out, but you definitely need to do enough to devastate them and make it possible to kind of deal with them and finish them off. trying to get this left tower as well. So at this point, I'm going to send Drak back out, and I'll head him down the left lane. The whelp eggs were not needed on those bandits there. That's unfortunately a waste of gold, but I'm going to manage regardless. Drak is going to kind of do his slow walk thing and work his way there, and give him some support as things go on. Also grab that treasure chest, and again, be ready to blizzard as the units come out. Get a better view of Cookie here, and just to his right, over that wooden bridge there, is where the other potential spawn point is, and we will see that later in the match as well. So the troll's getting some value. I still got 3 melee units to deal with. Gonna drop a safe pilot, most likely gonna die here, but I'm gonna get some damage to everything there, and it's just kind of the best play I think that I have at the moment. Could have even potentially waited, but at this point it kills the tower, and that sends the melee units back on it, so it's really just kind of stalling. So not a horrendous play by any means, but definitely a stall tactic there. I just wanted to kind of separate things as best as possible. And again, you can see that I'm actually technically behind at this point in the match with my base taking damage. Not concerned about it because I've kind of got control of the map. And at this point, I've got a Prowler on Cookie who is pretty squishy. I mentioned that in the Ren video the other day. All 3 bosses are fairly squishy if you manage to get on them. So just keep that in mind. Now you can see we've got a clump of units on the right of Cookie, as I mentioned, and we need to deal with this. So they're coming down. I'm going to do the best play I have, which again is a safe pilot, just do a large amount of damage in general. The unit itself will go down, that's whatever. And now I've got nothing but melee units left there. And again, the whelp eggs that we took at the very beginning are going to handle those nicely. Getting another Prowler onto Cookie, and now I've got options. I can either kind of play to keep lane control, or I can again blizzard and safe pilot the boss repeatedly. Chest coming back up, I'll send the Prowler out, toggle the arrow, and make sure that I grab both of those, and just kind of deal with units. I've got a troll on the boss, and you'll see this level compared to the last, much easier, and I don't need a blizzard here. I could have just thrown it on the boss as well, but regardless, way easier than Mr. Smite. Before Sneed, we'll get to pick another relic, and I happen to like the nether wraps here. This will give us a skeletal mage, which is ranged, and with any luck, it'll go across the bridge and nuke everything below it, especially nice when you're next to the conveyor belt. The map for Sneed has a lot of ground to cover, and this is an issue because General Drak is really slow. So we need to do something about this in order to actually do enough damage to win the level. First priority is to take this left tower, and I'll basically do whatever I can in order to get it. This is just going to give us a lot of control that's needed right off of the bat. Conveyor belt spawns right there. I don't necessarily need to blizzard the units that are coming, but I do it just to kind of do some damage to the tower as well. I just want to take that out as soon as possible. From here, I now want to get the other tower. I just want complete control of the bottom half of the map, and we've got those shock pads, which will occasionally take a unit and then send them down the conveyor belt. And I've had a few instances where it looks like it just spits out a troop otherwise. I think this is like a safeguard where they want to make sure that something's spawning. So just keep an eye out for that, but you'll get troops down the conveyor belt regularly. And you'll see I'm already safeguarding and blizzard right on top of Sneed, right off of the bat, basically, as soon as I get that first tower. I'm going to keep doing this as often as possible. Unless I need to use those units to defend my base and keep myself alive, I'm going to be sending them that way. Because this map is just enormous, and Drak basically can't get there. And by the time he does, he's virtually dead every time. At this point, relying on just whatever I can. I've got 2 whelp eggs spawned onto that molten giant. It's going to do some damage. Unfortunately, the whelp eggs that spawn automatically are on the sides and don't happen to get triggered by the giant being there. I'm getting Drak just about to the boss there. Does do good damage once he's there, but you'll see he's basically dead already. But at this point, I'm whittling Sneed down regardless. Sending another safe pilot because I've successfully defended my base. And as soon as I get the gold, if possible, I'll drop a blizzard right on top of him as well. And you see how low I have him already in a map that you may not have even reached him if you've tried other strategies previously. And again, I got a couple of units to defend, or 3 units here rather. Letting them attack my base and then sending the wolf out. This is just to keep my wolf alive. And this will also potentially get the wolf going forward, which, unfortunate timing with the drakes there, is going to basically make quick work of that drake. Excuse me, of that prowler. At this point, I'm sending a Darkspear troll out, and it was off camera there, but the troll kills one of these drakes. Now he's just going to start picking those drakes off as they continue to come down. So that's the positioning that I was talking about with the mages that you may get to spawn as well. But nonetheless, dropping a pilot, and the level is that easy. So once you get there, it's basically a free win if you're using this deck. And just like that, you'll be able to upgrade your army even further. And I've had a lot of feedback so far that people are struggling with General Drak on this particular dungeon. And I do think that this set of dungeon levels is harder than the previous ones that we saw. As always, thanks for taking the time to watch, and have a great day.